Like many of you, I had absolutely no idea when it came to my tutoring business how much to charge customers, what to pay my tutors, and therefore how much profit my business should actually be making. And because I had no idea, this really bit me in the ass because it meant that I made so many mistakes in terms of how much to charge customers, how much to pay tutors. And what that meant was that eventually my accountant one day said to me, Lisa, if you keep going on this trajectory, you're not going to have a business. You are not going to have the profit in order to actually make this business run. And so that was really the turning point for me because I'd always said to myself, I'm not good at finances. I'm not really that great at numbers. It's just not a strong strength of mine. And having those type of narratives in business, whether it be for finance for you, whether it be for marketing or for sales, is actually something that's going to turn into a much bigger problem for you later on if you don't address it in the very beginning. And so in today's video, I want to share with you, after that conversation I had with my accountant, how I managed to 2x my tutoring business profits because of the advice that I was given. I incorporated one key change in my business, and that was to systemize my pricing. And what does this mean? It means that I started being consistent with how much I was charging my customers and how much I was actually paying my tutors. I work with a lot of tutor bosses as my clients, and one common pattern that I see across all of these different businesses is that customers are paying different price points when it comes to the exact same service, and tutors are also getting all sorts of different pay. And why this is that a lot of tutoring business owners, they just don't know the finances. And so they play a little bit of a guessing game where it's like, well, if this customer said that they wanted a discount, okay, I gave them 10% there. They gave me a referral over there. They also asked me for 10% discount. Okay, I'll give one to them there. Here's another customer over here. They've said that they can't afford things, so let me give them a $15 discount. Here's another customer over here. They actually have the money to pay for my services, so let me charge them the full price. This customer over here, they actually have 2 siblings, so let me give them a 5% discount for the second sibling. And so because we don't have a standardized pricing in your business, what this actually leads to is increase admin time because you need to actually track what everybody's different rates are and make sure that you bill people at their different rates, which means that you actually end up spending even more time unnecessarily on these administrative tasks, but also you're actually creating a standard that you don't actually want. Now let's take tutors as an example in this case. Let's say you're paying one tutor $40, you're paying another tutor $50. Now there's no real rationing around this, it's just kind of arbitrary, it's kind of like how you're feeling, gut instinct, what you think kind of makes sense for these tutors. What happens when they share a common friend that they would actually like to refer you, and that friend says, hang on a minute, you're paying one tutor 40, you're paying one tutor 50, what am I getting paid? And so it creates even more confusion down the line for potential new customers and potential new tutors who come to your business. A confusing system only breeds more confusion. But when you set a standard that you uphold, then everyone comes to meet you at that same standard. If you as a business owner is making exceptions for everybody, then of course everybody who comes to you is going to want an exception. So if you're asking yourself, why am I still in this position where I'm not charging what I really want? I still find myself making a lot of discounts. I still find myself overpaying tutors. Then you have to ask yourself, is it because you're not necessarily creating the standard that you want to actually elevate the community to the level of the pricing that you're after? So when I had this conversation with my accountant, I realized that I was overpaying so many tutors. I was giving ridiculous discounts to too many students. And so a lot of these came out of a place of emotions. It's because I felt bad for certain people. It's because I liked other people and I wanted to pay them more, which is not an effective way for you to grow a business, especially if you're looking to scale your team. In order to scale, you need to have standardization across your business. So let's talk about the ways in which I actually executed this change in the business. So first, when it came to my customers, I essentially mapped out what the price increases would look like for people over the next year to get everyone to a standard level of pricing. So at this point in time, at Lisa's Study Guides, we were charging anywhere from $65 to $85 per hour for a tutoring session, one-on-one. Now, the goal was actually to get everybody level at $95 per hour for one-on-one session. Now, for the sake of simplicity in this video, I'm not going to go into if it's pay as you go or if it's a package. I'm just going to talk about per lesson prices just to keep things easy. Obviously, some people would jump from $85 per hour to $95 an hour. And that change, that increase is a lot more palatable than somebody who's going from $65 to $95 per hour. That is a very large, dramatic change that's actually happening in terms of pricing. And so I wasn't going to roll out these price increases and just hope for the best. I really wanted to approach it in a nuanced way where I made sure that I helped my customers feel comfortable with the changes. And so what this meant is that we actually implemented an incremental growth in the prices over a longer period of time. So it's not like overnight I suddenly increased the prices. Essentially what I did, particularly for the people who had that bigger jump to go, I said to them, hey, you're getting a really great rate from us right now. You're getting it from us for $65 per hour. We've included all of this value. We've added all of these benefits. We've actually added so much more value to your tutoring services that we're looking now to increase the prices. Now, what this looks like is that in 1 month's time, we're going to increase your $65 to $75 per hour. And then in 6 months' time, we're going to increase it from $75 to $85 per hour. So this actually proved to be really effective for us because what we essentially did is we communicated the change way ahead of time. And we communicated the reasoning why and how we still believe that we offered a lot of value for that new price point. Now, for the people who are doing the small incremental jump from $85 per hour to $95 per hour, it was just a matter of letting them know, hey, we're going to be increasing our prices by $10 within a month's time. Please let us know if you have any questions. And so obviously that doesn't put everybody on the same benchmark in terms of pricing straight away. And even in 6 months' time, the people who were getting charged the lowest, they're still not at that $95 per hour. But the intention is that over the next year, over the next year and a half, we'd make sure that we'd get them all to the same level. So this was actually a change that happened and took a couple of years to really establish. Now, of course, when it comes to rolling out price increases, what do we always expect? We always expect objections to those price increases. In most cases, it's usually because people will say that they can't afford it. And so what we did as a team is we worked on our processes to make sure that we could handle sales objections as best as we could. Now, for me at this point in time, we had over 200 students that we were looking after one-on-one privately, and I had over 35 tutors on my team at this point. And so this was really, really stressful for me. I remember that this was actually the most stressful part of my business journey up until that date. The one following that was when I actually sold my business. That was another stressful period. But I just felt terrible. I felt really, really bad as a boss, as somebody who felt like I had let down my team, as somebody who, because I had said to myself for so long that I just didn't know finances very well, that this effectively rolled into a huge, huge, huge problem for us as a business. And now, instead of rolling out a price increase to one person, I'm rolling out a price increase to 200 customers, which in itself is just so much more volume, so much more potential for backlash, and just so much more that we actually need to deal with in terms of chatting with clients, in terms of doing the emails, of writing things up, communicating things with tutors so that they are also in the loop with the price increases. And so what I effectively did to try to manage both clients and tutors in terms of this big change was I felt that it was really important for me to actually communicate the price increase to my tutors first. The reason why I felt that this was important was because I knew that if I rolled out a price increase for the customers, the tutors would circle back to me and go, Lisa, hello, we're still here. Are you giving us pay increases? And so I wanted to make sure that I anticipated those type of questions and instead actually communicate with tutors first why this price increase was happening, what it meant for them as tutors, and then let them know that I'd be rolling out the price increase a couple of weeks after I'd actually told the tutors. This gave the tutors a chance to actually chat with me and actually get up to scratch, essentially, with what was happening, why it was happening, and effectively get everybody on board. You want to have your team buy into what is happening so that by the time you actually roll it out to your customers, your customers who are undoubtedly going to talk to your tutors will have the answers that your customers are after. And they're actually going to stand up for your business, as opposed to if you didn't tell your tutors and you roll out a price increase for your students, then they're going to ask your tutor's going to be like, what the fuck? And then your customer and your tutor are both going to be unhappy with you, which we absolutely don't want. And the people pleaser side of me at that point in time, like, I was so stressed about this, I'm telling you. So to combat any type of backlash in this sense, I effectively wrote up an email for my tutors on what was happening. And then I wrote up an email for my customers on what was happening on their end as well. Pair this with the fact that I actually did this 2 months out before the price increase proved to be really effective, because it gave time for my tutors to come to terms with what was happening. And then a couple of weeks later, I had actually told the customers and had given them time, at least a month before that price increase rolled into effect, so that they also had time to come to terms with what was happening inside the business. And as a bonus part to this story, the reason why I was so stressed about this situation and it kept me up at night, I remember I was like staying up till 3 a.m. just stressing over how my tutors would respond to me, is because the whole reason of this price increase was because I wasn't charging my customers enough and I was paying my tutors too much. So my tutors were already getting overpaid. And so when we were actually rolling out this price increase, yes, we'd be making more money from the customers, but none of that was actually going to the tutors, because I was already overpaying my tutors. We actually needed that money to come into the business and come into our expenses and our profit to help the business get to a healthy place. And so that really stressed me out, because I was like, well, clearly the tutors are going to think to themselves, what's the point of having Lisa? I mean, I'm the one who goes and actually does the work, and now I'm getting even less of a cut. She's increased her prices and I'm not seeing any of that. She's such a greedy business owner. She's so evil. She's a bad boss. Like, these were all the thoughts that were circling inside my head when I was anxious about this whole situation. And so effectively, the key thing that helped me actually roll out this price increase without backlash is the fact that I communicated effectively to my team and to customers, and that I gave myself time to actually roll out the price increases and just not like surprise anyone and catch them off guard. The other thing that I also did was I wrote up a sales objections script for my tutoring team. And what I've done actually with these 2 emails is that I've actually copied and pasted them into a freebie for you. This is a gift for you if you're somebody who totally resonates with my story and recognizes that you need to increase your prices as well. You can go and download that template and copy and basically plug it into your business and use it as well. I hope that my experience and me rolling out these price increases with the effective comms that I had will help you be in a better place when you actually go to roll out any price increases in the future as well. So go ahead and download that, because at least that means that you won't be starting from scratch like I was. So now we've talked about the customer side of things and standardizing the pricing there. Effectively, I had to do the same thing with tutors, except that when it came to tutors, things were slightly different, because I wasn't just going to start standardizing all of their income, because remember, most people were already overpaid. So it's not like I was going to reduce their hourly earnings. I just didn't feel like that was the right thing to do. And it's also not the way to motivate your staff as well. So effectively, I just wore the costs of that mistake for a very, 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 very long time. We're talking about years, because for the people who had overpaid, I was only going to continue giving them pay increases because they were growing in experience. They were growing in the fact that they had been in the company for so long. And so there was no way that I could actually reduce that value anymore. But what that did mean is that I could at least standardize and have a system for any new tutors that came into the business. So then, rather than paying from a place of emotion, of guessing and just kind of like hoping that things would work, I actually had a table and I went, look, based on this criteria, this is how much this tutor earns. And over this period of time, this is how much I'm going to earn. 1 year, 2 year, 3 years of experience. And so I effectively just rolled that out pretty quietly. And over the years, effectively, we started to stabilize and get tutors to a point where they were actually getting paid something that was also beneficial for the business as well. So then in that case, it took me years, but effectively I was able to keep everyone happy at the end of it. Customers were happy because essentially they felt like they were getting an exchange for the money that they were paying, the value that they were getting back. They were getting results when it came to their tutoring. Tutors were happy with the pay they were getting because they got so much more support outside of their pay as well. They loved working at the company, and so they were happy. And I was happy as a business owner because now I wasn't in the red anymore. I was actually starting to make profit in the company where we would actually be able to grow sustainably in the long run. And because this had happened a few years before I actually sold the business, it was actually one of the key things that my buyer was looking for. They were looking for a systemized business where there wasn't just like random fluctuations in how much people were getting charged, how much tutors were getting paid. It was quite clear across the board, minus a couple exceptions here and there, that there was a standardized system for all of this. And this is what makes a business really attractive to actually buy into rather than a chaotic mess. And so the lesson that I've learned now is that it's so crucial for you to understand your numbers, not just in business, but like extrapolate that into your life as well. I recently moved to London, and because I've moved to London, effectively I've had to ask myself, do I keep my Australian business tutor boss or do I start a UK business tutor boss? And which one is actually going to be more tax effective for me? Do I do a little bit of both? Do I keep the old business? And I knew that I couldn't actually find out this information on my own because it was so niche and it actually was quite complex, especially knowing the fact that I've got properties in Australia as well, other assets. And so I actually engaged in an accountant, and the upfront cost for that was effectively $10,000 AUD, Australian dollars that is, which is £5,000 and around 7,500 USD. I'm getting pretty good at my currency conversions now. And so that is actually a lot of money. That is a heck of a lot of money. But when I recognized from my past stories of what happened when I just told myself, oh, don't worry about it. Like, I can figure it out. Or, you know what, I'm just going to push it aside and just kind of go with my gut feeling, that it really bit me in the ass. And so this time, yes, I've paid that amount of money, but wow, can I say that the position I'm in now, living in London, I've actually set up a UK business. I could not have realized before moving here the benefits of me actually having set up a UK business. And I'm not going to go into that into detail because the main moral of the story is that, yes, it costs a lot of money for me to figure out, but I'm so glad because I've effectively already made that money back just by the fact that I've properly set up my taxes. I've properly set up my cash flow, how my assets are going to be working while I'm living in London. So I encourage you, if you're somebody who still feels like you're umming and erring about your prices, you don't feel confident actually declaring your prices, you don't feel confident about how much you're paying your tutors, then this is a sign for you to get on top of it. Don't forget, you can download my gift to you where you can access the 2 emails that I actually sent out to my tutors and students when I was rolling out my price increases so that you can duplicate this and use it for your own business. And if you've watched all the way until the end of this video, I appreciate you. I hope you gained value out of this video. If you did, I would really love to have a conversation with you in the comment section below. And if this video did help, you might also like the video that I've got over here, how much should I charge for tutoring as well. All right, tutor bosses, I can't wait to see you next week. Bye.